Welcome to Choir Talks. My name is Greg O'Neill. I'm the worship pastor at Ridgecrest Baptist Church in Madison, Mississippi. Choir Talks is our weekly podcast. Do you want to be great? Do you want to be the GOAT, the greatest of all time? Well, maybe that's overstating your ambition, but you know what? You might want to be great in some way in your life. Jesus gives a key. This is a key from Jesus, right? A key to being great. So in just a moment, I'll give you what that scriptural key is to being great, coming straight from the mouth of Jesus. But let's get a little context first. That's always important when we try to understand what Jesus is saying. So I'm looking at Matthew chapter 20. And in this chapter, James and John, two of the disciples, and their mom come before Jesus. And the mom says, I have a favor to ask. In your kingdom, she says, I want my sons to sit on your right and on your left. And so Jesus says to them, can you take the cup that I'm going to drink from? In other words, if you get one of those positions of authority, are you going to have what it takes to be great there? Or at least that's the way they probably interpret it. So they say, yeah, we can. We got this, Jesus. We just had an election here Tuesday. Many people threw their hat into the ring to get into a public office, and I'm sure they had different motivations, different reasons, each one of them. But I'm sure that some of them were similarly motivated to these disciples. They were trying to make it into a top seat, a prominent place, to have power and recognition in this government. So James and John have that motivation. They want to be great. They know they are walking alongside of some Messiah King in Jesus, and they want to be powerful and influential in his kingdom. Well, the disciples, the other 10, get wind of this, and they are ticked, as you might can imagine. They've walked along with Jesus just like these other guys, and so who are they to think that they should be above them? So Jesus says to them, he pulls them all together because he knows what's going on among them. And so he says to them, you know, the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them. Their high officials exercise authority over them. But it shouldn't be so with you. Now here comes the key to greatness that I promised you. Jesus says, whoever wants to be great among you must be a servant. And whoever wants to be first must be your slave. Wow, that's not what you expected, right? You want to be great according to Jesus? Become a servant. That's probably not the advice you were hoping for when you clicked on this podcast. How easily, though, we ask God for the wrong things or see things wrongly, just like James and John did. How quickly we apply what the world's standards are to ourselves and want to be like the world's rulers and its celebrities, its influencers, politicians, all of these, quote, great ones. But in Jesus's kingdom, he says the great are servants. It's so counterintuitive. How can a servant become great? This is not the only time that issue comes up with the disciples. In Mark 9, Jesus sees that they are arguing amongst themselves, and so he asks them later on, what were you arguing about on the road? Well, no one wants to answer that question because their argument was about which among them was the greatest. So understanding their hearts, he told them this, anyone who wants to be first must be the very last and the servant of all. So in Jesus' kingdom, the first come in last, the last come in first. The powerful are not those who seek power. The great ones are not those who seek greatness. For Jesus, greatness is found in serving. And this idea is not just a directive that he gives to the disciples. It's the life that he lives. He lives out in front of them. It's the example that he sets. He goes on to say in his next sentence in our passage, the Son of Man, which is Jesus himself, did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. You see it now, don't you? Jesus is the greatest person, not because many people served him, but because he gave his life to be the servant of all. On that cross, his sacrifice served the entire world, and so he became the greatest person who has ever lived, the greatest human. Pontius Pilate, King Herod, Caiaphas the high priest, these were the, quote, great people in Jesus' day and in his country. But you only know their names because of the name of one person, and that's Jesus. The one who went to the cross, seemingly in disgrace and shame, is the greatest of all history. So greatness lies in moving from being caught up in our own concerns and our own agenda to engaging in and being an answer for the needs of others. If you're focused on making yourself great, you will be great to one person, yourself. But if you broaden your focus out to see the needs of others and to enter into meeting them, and spend yourself for serving others, then you will be great to many. If serving is beneath you, then greatness is beyond you. But if you follow the example of Jesus and give your life to serve others, you might never be recognized as the GOAT, all right, in this world, but you will be significant. You'll make a difference in the lives of other people, and in the kingdom of God, you'll be great. Have a great day.